Hello friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to come to you today to talk about more of the players in the Dark World and the players of Dark World Light Work, which is a book that I have written. And I do like to every once in a while talk about the quote unquote bad guys, because they are all part of a common thread, just like good people are. And they are all part of a sort of prototype of human who chooses a certain pathway here on this earth. And so there are people who were in my actual flesh and blood family, and people who were in high places in business and politics and things like that, who all were part of the same type of energy that came to disrupt not just my life, but also my grandmother's life as well. And that's not something I always, I bring up a lot, but the most of the reason why I fight for justice for what happened is because of what happened to her. Because what happened to her happened to me, obviously, because of how deeply we were intertwined. But her daughter, for her to have done what she did to her mother, was really out of line, which brings me to the topic of today. All of these people really crossed someone or persons, myself and my grandmother, who had no ill will for them whatsoever. My grandmother was best friends with her daughter. People thought that she spoiled her and that she coddled her and that she let her get away with too much. And I think that might have, in the end, been the reason why she turned on her, because she did let her get away with too much, I guess. Because it wasn't because she didn't give her enough. But it also could have been she let her get away with too much, and then when she finally did want to put her foot down and give some credit to anybody else, the woman didn't want it. And the funny thing about what this woman did to her family is she not only took a ton of money away from myself and my grandmother, but she also took a ton from her own brother. And he is the reason why my grandmother had the house in the first place, because he bought a few houses in the neighborhood and he told her to pick one and she lived in it. And she paid for it. You know, she paid the mortgage and everything on it, but she never would have moved out of a rental had it not been for him presenting this really beautiful opportunity for her to go walk through 3 different houses like they were models and pick the one that she wanted the most. And she loved it. And she loved to tell the story about it. And honestly, the money that he would have made from getting what he deserved as part of her inheritance would have been some of the only honest, true money that he'd ever earned and made in his life. And it would have been poetic had it ever reached his hands. Because he did something right. I mention, this is my father, him in the book, and I say sometimes he did say stuff that I look back on and I really, really was grateful for, because even a broken clock is right twice a day. So when this woman and everybody else crossed myself and my grandmother to try and tear us apart, to try and take our assets and our property and split it up in the way that they wanted it, leaving both of us out, not just us, and honestly, leaving everybody that she knew out. That was the biggest affront to the spirit, which is what I'm always bringing up in these videos, because we had no ill will towards these people. And another thing that these people have in common is that they all have been used to doing what they do. Very dirty, dark, petty, just twisted, vengeful, jealousy-fueled things, to other people of that same energy. This is why these people got so far for so long doing it, because they were doing it at an underworld level. They all, from her own daughter, my grandmother's own daughter, to all of the people even the people at the real estate company and the people at the bank and everybody who really just saw something that they knew wasn't right and allowed it to continue. All of those people were used to people being shady. So the shadiness didn't even, like, a red flag doesn't mean what it used to mean. Like everything is shady. That whole world, the business world is shady. The politics world is shady. The local government is shady. The local police force is shady. So all of that was part of the same thread, which is why things got as far as they did. However, the reason why they're not going to win, they're not going to succeed with this one, is because they crossed people who were good. They tried their scam, their grift on the wrong marks. And they tried it on myself and my grandmother because we're heart-centered people. We do not covet money. And they thought that was a weakness. And you have to assume that somebody who has that kind of energy on this earth has something protecting it. And if you can't see that protection, then it must be not of this earth. And that is what these people who came up against myself and my grandmother ran into over and over again in a way that I know was monumental and very debilitating, because they formed many weapons against both of us. And none of them truly did prosper, because they may have gotten what they wanted in the moment, but they didn't even know what they were trying to take when they were trying to take the love and the admiration and the connection of myself and my grandmother away. And I think that's because they never had those kind of connections and that kind of love in their lives. Now, in the case of my grandmother and her daughter, it's not because she never felt that love. It must be because she was not willing or able to give it back. And that is probably because of the way she was raised. So she must have harbored a very deep resentment against her mother and father for the way she was raised, for her to turn on her mother the way that she did. Because you would have thought right up into the moment where she kidnapped her and started assuming her identity that they were the best of friends. I know for a fact that even her mother wouldn't put anything past her when it came to money. And she did even warn me that she wanted the house, and she came and she took it. She wanted it that bad. And I did walk away, and she took it. And now we'll see what happens. Because just because I just walked away doesn't mean that it was hers. It just meant that I wasn't going to fight and grovel for it, because my grandmother wouldn't have liked that. And so I didn't. I gave it up. And I was like, let God handle it. And so now we'll see. All right. Love you guys. That's enough for now.